This is an Eye on Annapolis special update.
Well, you guys have been here longer than the podcast. I mean, we've only done the podcast, I think, like 4 times, but we're here with the ladies from the Annapolis Film Festival, back for the 8th year. I can't believe it's been 8 years.
Thank you for having us back.
Oh, okay. Wouldn't do that. That's the best time of the year for me. I tell you, I clear the calendar as soon as you tell the dates in late of the year before. And it's like, okay, get rid of the date, get rid of the calendar, March 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, nothing going on. I'm going to the film festival. We are here with Lee Anderson and Patti White, who are the directors of the Annapolis Film Festival, bringing it back again to Annapolis for the 8th year. Every single year you go, you top the previous year, which is, I guess, sort of the nature of the beast. You want to keep getting better, and the films are just getting deeper and deeper and better and better. And I know last year, I don't know whether it was a sleeper or not, but it was the and I'm going to screw up the name, which I always do because but the Greatest Little Farm?
The Biggest
Little Farm was, I'll say, somewhat of a sleeper. There were not a whole lot of people who had won some awards, but it showed up in the theaters and everyone was loving it in the theaters. So it was a tremendous time last year, and I can't wait to get into it again this year.
No pressure, John. It's like, just deliver.
That's okay. I mean, for those that aren't aware, the film festival is, and I didn't know what a film festival was when I came into this 8 years ago, and it totally blew my mind as to what it was. I mean, I remember the very first year, I think you had a shorts crawl.
That's right.
And I was like, who the hell's wearing their shorts in February or whatever? I don't remember when it was. And I had no idea what a shorts was. This is the first time I've seen it here in the theaters, but preceding the Oscars that just happened, they had shorts for documentary and action. And I learned a new thing about even going to see one of those. I learned that live action had nothing to do with action. It just happened to be like real people as opposed to animation.
You're becoming a cinephile.
Oh, a what?
Cinephile.
Do I get a badge?
Yeah.
Badge of honor.
I am a cinephile.
Don't you know who I am?
But shorts is its own unique art form, and we really try to appreciate great shorts. And we have from the beginning, and they've really ramped up in the last 3 years because we have Derek, our director of programming, who's a shorts aficionado.
He's a shorts specialist.
What I think is great about shorts is that it shows really the talent of the people that are involved in it, whether it be the producers, the directors, the actors. Okay, with a feature movie, you've got 3 hours or an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may be, to tell a story.
That's right.
Well, there's a trick to shorts, too. It's like some people believe that a short is just a smaller version of a feature, and they just try to tell a whole story in that amount of time. But a really good short is one that takes a slice of something and it lets you into a story, but it doesn't necessarily have to fill in all the gaps and wrap everything up by the end. It's and it doesn't always leave you hanging in that way, but it just gives you a new way to look at the same story, a story. And it's so good when a short is done well. There's nothing like it.
I agree with you. From the ones that I've seen, both at the Annapolis Film Festival and recently in the theaters when they did that, and it gets you thinking. And that sort of throws back to your motto a couple of years ago. It was "Minds Open."
Yeah, voice is strong, minds open.
What is new with the Annapolis Film Festival this year?
Well, for 2020, we're focusing forward.
Do we ever believe that we would have been alive in the year 2020?
It's a little Jetson-like.
The year 2000 just seems so far.
Remember,
in the future.
Yeah.
Y2K.
There are some people who still think 1984 was one of those things way out in the distance.
True. But for 2020,
Focus Forward is our theme this year. And I mean, one of the main reasons we did that, we wanted to look ahead and look at what's coming, not just in film, but in the world and how film connects to that. And, we have been spending time dealing with the issues of our own community. We went through grief. We went through, all those kinds of, we went through elections. We've been through a lot as a community, and we honored that in our film stories and in the way we mounted the festival. And this year we wanted to sort of pull off some of those covers and say, let's look forward now and see where we're going, where we're heading, and how we can tie film into that. So it gives people a chance to come and just be exposed to all kinds of new and interesting and, unique ways of looking at the world.
Well, that's one thing that I do get out of it. And you always have a different perspective coming out of any number of the movies. I mean,
that's the point.
The emotions that come, and I've often told people that as I'm just talking to them casually about the film festival, that you're going to see movies that you're going to come out side-splittingly. Oh my God, my stomach hurts! I can't believe that was so funny. You're going to be crying.
Mm-hmm.
Unexpectedly sometimes.
Yeah, you're going to be. Sometimes you're going to come out and go, to jump back to your emoji theme for the short. You're going to walk out and go, WTF.
We like doing that. We like to push the envelope. We like to bring not the normal, sometimes rarely seen or hard to find films that are so excellent and deserve to be seen in front of large audiences on a big screen in a cinematic environment. And also just sort of relevant films each year. It kind of reflects the world around us, what people are actually making films about, what they're writing screenplays about. And
where we're going. What does this field look like in the future? I mean, because film is changing and the whole industry is changing. Well, it's very fascinating.
Well, when I was talking to people last year, I thought, some of the producers and directors and whatnot, I thought it was hysterical that you've got people that I'm going to, and the music industry is very similar. It's like, I'm going to make this movie and dang it all, I want it on YouTube. I'm like, well, just upload it.
Well, that brings up a good point, because the platforms are changing and the form is changing. And that's where we're trying to educate our community about what's coming in the future, how they can view films, how the context they see them in, that even take into consideration whether they're seeing it in the palm of their hand or on a big screen or with people or alone. It's just like a text. There's no emotion attached to it.
It's not like the movie theaters are going away.
No.
People still want to go to the movies. They want that big screen experience. They want to feel what that feels like to hear the music.
I'm looking for the recliners. That's
but the recliners are in the movie theaters.
I would love to have a budget for that, actually. We're sorry about the folding chairs.
Yeah, exactly. But, this is something that's why movie theaters are doing that, because they know the big screen experience is still really important. However, all of these other platforms are coming in and the content is growing in each of these areas. And we want to be able to, in our panels, discussions, in the way we present our films, we want to be able to let our audiences know what's coming.
And also, there's more content out there than ever before. So I think people are kind of overwhelmed. So we're here to curate the best content of the year, basically, that we can bring, that's available to us, that we can share, and teach people how to be curators themselves. I mean, we have had people say, I had no idea what went into these stories until I started hearing what the Q&As shared and what the filmmakers and the producers went through to actually make this film, and what the actors had to do. No one thinks about it because it's so readily available. You just see it. You don't always think about what went into it.
So, if there's a good film that you go to see, like Lee just said, you had that experience afterwards in the Q&A. If that Q&A hadn't taken place and you had just watched the film, you might have loved the film and walked out, and we still have some of those. We don't have Q&As for everything, but you walked out and you appreciated it on every level. But if you got the Q&A and you got the dynamic between the filmmaker and the audience, that took you to another level. That takes you there.
Oh, it really does. And that's a good thing that, again, for those that aren't familiar with the film festival way, many of the films, I might say most, have a Q&A, and it could be with the actors, it could be with the directors, it could be with the producers, how this film. If you've got a hanging Chad from the middle of the movie that's, you're like, I didn't quite connect A to B or A to C here. You've got a director that says, oh, well, do you remember A.3? Yeah, that was B. And then you're all of a sudden, aha, I got it.
Right.
And
it gives context. It's like, it's not just going to the movies. It's a different kind of experience at a festival for that reason.
It absolutely is. Again, the Annapolis Film Festival, March 26th to 29th. The opening night is a Thursday, and it goes through Sunday. And I was talking to somebody. It was funny. You have your best of the festival on Sunday, and that's where the audience is voted and the awards and everything else. And almost embarrassingly and ashamedly, I've got to say that I have never made it to one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
naughty boy.
I map out my 4 days. Okay, because a lot of it is repeats of what has happened the 4 days. But I map out my 4 days. I'm like, I work out like 3 weeks before so I can make that sprint from Maryland Hall to St. John's. Okay, okay.
Good job, John.
I can't afford it. And the one time I hopped into the Porsche and he says, "Are you a VIP?" I said, "You're damn right. Let's go."
Don't get any ideas, people. John's a special case.
But yeah, no, it was. And again, that's what I map it out. And I sit there and I look and say, oh, this one looks great, this one looks great, and this one looks great. Subject to change, because then I get talking to people, and that's also a part of the festival. You sit there and you meet somebody in the lobby or afterwards, and you're talking about the film, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I just saw this, and I just saw that," and you're like, "Oh yeah, I need." Then you're like, "Oh, what needs to go?"
Right.
And it's feel like somebody asked,
give
like,
you
"What's
a
your
hint.
favorite kid?"
Some people have figured this out. A lot of the things that play on Friday are rerun on the weekend. So if you see it on Friday, you can see other things on the weekend. So don't go to work.
Some things, yeah.
Right?
Sometimes we only get to play a film once, though, because
Right.
of distributor issues and stuff.
Right.
But yes, that does happen, and you can work it out that way. Look in the program, and you'll see if it's running twice.
I think you bring up a good point, though, John, because in the beginning, nobody knew, quote, how to fest.
Right.
People were so confused. They were like, is this one venue? Is it just Maryland Hall? No, it's 5 screens, 4 venues. It's walkable, but there's a curve to learning how to do this, and planning ahead is probably the key. Get a schedule, get a program guide, read through online what the synopses, or a lot of times we have trailers available and you can see the trailers of the film. We also put the trailers on Facebook, and you really should be selective about what you want to try to go to and be there early enough, or lines are getting slightly longer each year, and sort of have a strategy for your festival experience.
Oh, there's definitely. I definitely go with the strategy, man. I'm sitting there saying, okay, so I'm going from Maryland. I'm going to stop at Rubens and get a sandwich, and they better be on
There
the
you
ball
go.
because I've only got 12 minutes here.
to get from here to there. But the other point is that this when we started this, people were walking around with their programs and they really didn't know what to, oh my God, what does this mean? And how am I going to get from here to there? And now you can't believe it. They are buttoned up. I mean, they've got their schedules. They know what they're going to do. It's just incredible. People say, get out of my way. I'm heading to this.
You've trained them well in the past 8 years.
Well, we knew from being on the festival circuit ourselves, we knew how important that element was, the learning how to navigate a film festival. Because I heard the other day somebody said they had a friend who wasn't going to the film festival because they just thought it was too overwhelming to figure it out. And these were smart people, professional people, but it just hit them like,
that's not
too
my
many
heart
films, too many films, too much to do. But the thing is, once you get into it and you really do look at it, it's really quite simple. And this year, we have a brand new website, which is really functionable, which is really easy to navigate, which is really easy to figure out how to get passes and tickets and everything, and to understand what the films are.
Yes.
It takes you everywhere.
We're very grateful to Spin Graphics for building our new website. Yep. It's been a wonderful new face for us.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to how to festival and how to fest, one thing that I've learned over the years is that and while you can get individual tickets, if you want to see a number of movies, that is certainly not the way to go. Passes, which are available now, you can get them at AnnapolisFilmFestival.com, is the way to go. You can get a single day pass.
You can get a day pass except for Thursday. Opening night.
That's just the opening night.
Right. No day pass for Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we have 2 passes available for individuals this year that you don't have to get through a sponsorship package. So we have our regular general festival pass, which is wonderful. It's $175. It's unlimited films and panels. It's you can get into opening night and the opening night after party, and it's a bargain. And having a pass enables you to be more fluid during your experience. So if you get in a line and you think, you know what, we might not get in, you can just jump out of the line, get in another line. You don't have to get in the ticket line, exchange your tickets, get back in the line to get in. So it saves you a lot of steps. This year, we're offering something brand new. It's a premium pass. It's priced at $300. It enables you to go to 3 parties, and you can be in the priority line to get in. And it's unlimited films and panels and everything else. So that's also a bargain.
Well, the priority line, and again, that's a pretty big deal, because the lines, as you mentioned, are getting longer and longer. And I will say that and you guys have been busy. You haven't been kicking back in the last 9 months or whatever
9 years,
hardly
to do this.
No
because,
kickback here.
Well, you've been. That's a dangerous comment.
No quid pro quo.
No kickbacks here.
But you've been busy over the year, and I mean, you've worked with the Cunit Center at Maryland Hall to bring films in there. So the film festival didn't end last March or April, whatever date it ended. It continued throughout the year, and you kind of remembered that with the films that you presented just recently. You had one.
We've had quite a few.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we've been testing the last couple of years, testing the quasi-monthly screenings. We've been doing them when we can throughout the year, and that's been the lead up to the launch of our Film Society. So now we've launched our Film Society. That will allow us to have presentations of films and other events throughout the year. So we will be able to enjoy the film presence in some capacity throughout a year, not just 4 days of the film festival.
Well, what is a film society then? Now I'm starting my education there. I've got the film festival down.
Most festivals, we did everything backwards. Most festivals start out, somebody says, hey, let's start showing cool independent films. We'll have a potluck, and then a group of people form, and then it becomes a film society, and then you have a festival. We didn't do that. We did the festival first, and now we're doing the film society, knowing that on average at these monthly screenings, about half the people are new each time, and half have been to the festival. So that's a good indicator that there's a real hunger for independent film right here in Annapolis. And with the partnership at Maryland Hall, we've been able to launch this with 2 levels of membership. So there's a basic general membership for $75 a year. It gives you all updates and early announcements before the general public get announcements, so you can get your tickets, better chance of getting tickets because the theater holds 180 seats. And then there's a founders level, this is for this year only, one-time donation of $2,500 or more, and you will be forever a founder of building the Annapolis Film Society, and you will live on a perpetual digital wall and print everything from this point forward, because we're really trying to get legs under this to have year-round film presence in Annapolis.
Wow. Well, I mean, I think
we want to do other things too. I mean, we want to have monthly screenings, but we also would like to have French film weekends and different speakers come in, and they're all and this is in the future. We need to roll this out. We need to have community support. We need to have it all behind us. But one of the great things about the monthly screenings, it's getting people, every month you see how excited the people are about the festival coming. So now as we're getting closer to the festival, the energy in the room on February 11th was incredible, because people were, not only were we launching our society, but we were also saying, hey, over 70 films are coming here very soon, and you're going to be able to, enjoy
Tonight
the
times
festival.
70.
It's time to go.
And if people are walking around and they see people wearing passes and they see somebody says founder on it, walk up to them and say thank you for helping bring film to Annapolis. Thank you for being a founder.
They're going to have separate passes?
Well, it'll just say founder on their pass.
No, they'll have their regular pass,
Right.
but next to their name it'll say founder.
That's great.
And that's the society, and I mean, this is how we feel that our festival is a community festival anyway, and it's a networking festival internationally. It's a networking festival in our community. It's built around our community, and that's what the filmmakers and the industry guests love about it. They come in here and they realize, wow, this is an engaged community. It's not just a bunch of industry guests coming in and people from other states, and you see the same films and the same people at all the parties. No, this community actually comes out. They support it. They ask great questions in the Q&As. And the filmmakers, the artists love this, because they're making films for audiences, not for just industry.
This feedback and this audience response is the great reward for such a huge labor of love for most filmmakers. I mean, it's the payback.
These are artists. They need that. They need that kind of, I mean, it's a lot to make a film. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of money. This is a very, risky. In the world of artists, this is one of the most difficult things to do, to make a good and viable film.
I have a tough time getting the YouTube thing up,
Yeah, I mean, go and make
the YouTube thing. I'm with you.
Go and make your own little short video and see how many mistakes get made and how people think, oh, I can make this film, and they sit down to do it and they go, ooh, it's not what I thought it was going to. I'm smart, I'm talented, I have all this, but when I go to try to make this, it doesn't quite work the way I think it's going to work. And then you go see somebody's piece of art that has figured out.
There's a whole different appreciation.
And these people need to be honored. And we are a very filmmaker friendly festival. We bring them in, we treat them right, and we honor their films.
Well, the community has really stepped up to do that, and the filmmakers feel it. And then they tell other filmmakers, wow, this was such a great festival. I mean, there are 3,000 festivals in the U.S. to choose from. Why would they come to Annapolis? Well, because we're filmmaker friendly. It's a walkable, affordable, wonderful destination.
Right.
And we have engaged audiences. And they said we have some of the most intelligent audiences they've ever screened in front of that ask such incredible questions because, face it, we're a very global, educated community here, and they notice.
Absolutely. Well, you also got to wonder that you guys have been around for going on 8 years now. So I mean, you're established, and I would think that I remember back when we spoke in the 5th year, that was sort of your bellwether to if we can do 5, we can. Sort
financially viable at 5.
Yeah, sort of like a marriage. If you get over that 7th year itch,
but 10, John, is when, that's what I'm saying. We're gearing toward 10 because 10 is when they look at festivals and they say, oh, they're not only financially viable, they've stayed on the landscape, but they know who they are. They have established themselves, as a unique festival, and this is what we're working toward. We feel we are on the path. We know who we are. We're accepting our challenges. We're accepting the good parts of us, the things we need to do better, but we're on that path. And at year 10, we hope to have a big celebration here in Annapolis, and we are going to be on this landscape for a long time. We certainly hope so.
I heard you've invited Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio for the 10th. Is that true?
Oh, we can invite them.
Well, they're booked about 4 years out on projects, so we're trying to see if we can they can squeeze us in.
Yeah, well, Although I will say that Pitt's thing at the Oscar was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
I give him credit. Well,
he took it somewhere.
That was very good. Again, film festival passes are the way to go. Tickets.
There's a limited number. When we run out. Then it's tickets only.
And you have run out for probably the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, and hotels get booked too. I want to say something about hotels this year. Can I say that?
Okay.
In the past, we've always had a lot of hotel partners participate and give some benefits and discounted room blocks and things like that. And we're not having those partnerships come through this year. So
we needed
it, and we didn't expect that to happen. So every year, people think they see lots of people and they think, oh, they're wildly successful, but about 25% of our revenue is derived from ticket and pass sales. So the rest really relies on the business community and really individual patrons who really step up, and it's so incredible that they do each year. But every year we're paying for filmmakers to come in, we're licensing films, just a heavy lift of not having, now we have one theater at Maryland Hall that's DCP compliant, but we build our theaters, so that's about $125,000 for 4 days. So we spend the money on the festival and we start all over again the next year.
And we have a small core staff, and
they're amazing.
We could use much bigger staff, but we have to make it with what we have. And, so this is our biggest challenge, is the financial piece of this. And I think people just think, oh, wow, look at all the people here, thousands of people, and look how well they're doing. Well, we are doing well as a festival, but the financial support we're always teetering. We need it, and that's the problem.
Well, the cost of putting it on
it's
again,
huge.
and it's funny.
I'm gonna say it because I've never said that out loud, but I think we can give people an idea of what it costs to do this. Do you have a guess?
Okay, so we're talking rentals of equipment, bringing people in.
Yes, yeah.
Putting them
films,
licensing
films.
all their little riders, and have to have green
and
M&Ms.
Parties.
There's also legal. There's insurance. There's all kinds
security.
of liability. We throw huge parties. Lots of we spend $10,000 a year on booze.
And I have no idea what a film costs to license. I'm probably going to say
it depends. See, it depends.
$2 million.
Oh no!
Or am I way off? I have no idea.
You're way off.
You're a little off.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
but we already knew that.
Film licensing.
I was born that way.
He's off the reservation. Film licensing is up and down. Sometimes you can make good deals with people, and they want you to play their film, and they just can give it to you.
See, now I would have thought that we'll say a film that may show up on opening night or one of the feature films on one of the evenings would make it into the theaters shortly after the film festival would be, it would probably cost you $75,000 to $100,000 license. So I have no idea.
Yeah. No, well, it's different kind of thing. It's not really in a commercial theater. They look at festivals differently.
They're also looking at it for promotion and early buzz about a release, things like that.
But when you're negotiating for these films, it's all different levels. So some films we pay a lot more for than other films. And sometimes it's not even the top film. Sometimes the top films come in a different way because the deals are different, and sometimes films you need, international films are often quite expensive, and you really want them. We want to have world cinema here. It's very important to us, so those films can be expensive, but it's not the kind of expense you're talking about. That kind of expense is the nuts and bolts of building the festival, building the theaters, getting the AV, the transportation, the hospitality.
Rentals.
This is where you get into the hundreds of thousands.
Rentals of lights, rentals of director chairs, rentals of all the cones and the trucks and the everything to do this, running power to places. And
but the most important thing is that that people just need to understand that it's not easy. The money just doesn't flow easy. It all gets spent on the festival. The next year, we start all over again.
Push the reset button.
Yeah, push the reset, and here we go.
And, we have they're also like a hidden cost. Like we were so excited in year 5 to get Rob Reiner. So we went to our board and said, okay, I hope you guys are ready for this. But Rob was really wonderful. He didn't charge a fee like a lot of big A-listers do. But to bring his entourage of people and everybody that was his family and people that, would come with them, and putting them up and treating them in a first-class way was a considerable amount of money.
Sure, without a doubt.
Right. So, that's the part people don't think about. It's like, oh, look, Joanne Froggett's kneeling in the banquette at Bar Oak at the party, and I can talk to her about Maryland crab cakes because that was her favorite thing when she was here. But
we had to bring her from London.
We brought her from London.
So... it's all part of it, and I think people are becoming aware of all of this.
Well, they are. And our community, and you mentioned it's a community festival, but I think that our community is very supportive of that. And for anybody that is interested in sponsoring the film festival, I would recommend it just because you can go to AnnapolisFilmFestival.com and there's a thing there that says sponsor.
You can have your own screening. Put your name on a film.
Right.
Bring your friends to your screening.
We're talking, and I don't know what the exact number of people that come into town for the film festival, but it's in the tens of thousands that you're going to get exposed to. It's a very attractive demographic for anybody that wants to sponsor it there.
Yeah, I think the really cool part is the diversity and the vibe, and you probably can describe the vibe better than we can from a user point of view, but there's a real sense of like excitement and joy around those 4 days. If I'm wrong, tell me, but I really feel it.
I agree with you. And what I find is very interesting, and a lot of times it has to do with your showcases, and I do want to get into them in a second, but this film festival has a way of breaking down some of the division that you would normally see. And let's talk about the obvious, okay? You've got the rich white people of Annapolis and the poor black people of Annapolis, okay? And this can all happen.
I don't think the black people are necessarily the poor black people of Annapolis. I think we have a whole white.
No, there's a whole mismatch.
I think we have a whole
the white and the black and the Latino. But
you're saying it's been divided.
They're all together,
right?
Watching this, and they're sharing this experience of what it may be. It could, I remember several years ago during the African American experience. I think it was the LBJ movie was in part of that over at Asbury United Methodist.
It was a documentary then. It wasn't LBJ. It was the documentary on LBJ the year before,
with the secretary.
About the passage of the Civil Rights Act.
Yes. It was just absolutely phenomenal just to see the community come together like this.
A black and white audience sharing a documentary that they both cared about and they both had interest in, and they both wanted to share it together. And that was really a point for us where we said, this mission that we had to do this, the inclusivity, the diversity, this paid off. We realized this is working. That's the time when we saw the most that it was working, because that's when we first saw our audience blend.
It was.
And
that year was that turning point, and it's showing it in the oldest, most historic African-American church in town made total sense.
And from that point on, that blending has just really, really catapulted into something that we are so proud of. It's one of the things we're the most proud of, is how we feel we've brought the community together through the arts and through this.
I even got along with some sailors at one of the sailing movies. So.
Shock of all shocks.
Are you guys using Asbury again?
Oh, yes,
you bet.
We are.
Okay, now for those that are going Asbury in a pew, oddly Oddly enough, it's a very comfortable pew, and I don't understand how they do that, but it is not an uncomfortable couple hours to spend in there, and that is the acoustics in there are great. That's a great venue for you guys.
They've been terrific partners, Reverend Allen and just all of the elders of that church. They understood our mission, our vision from the beginning, and they came to us and said, we want to be part of this, and it's been a great fit.
Let's talk about the showcases. Now, these are things that you have every single year. Typically, I know that you've had the African American Showcase, which highlights that. You have and I don't know whether you're calling it that, but it's like the Jewish Showcase on Sunday morning. Jewish Experience.
With bagels, lox, and coffee.
Yep, on Sunday morning.
Right.
And you've had environmental showcases.
Yes.
You've had local showcases.
We have student showcases, and we have a Maryland local focus. And then we also have you said environmental, we also have the sailing presentation.
Right.
So usually a boating or sailing.
And then
morning.
throughout, not sectioned out as a showcase, but sprinkled throughout, we have what we call our diversity series, which represents people with disabilities, the LGBTQ skein, other, international kind of diversity. So
those are all in there. And then also we have veteran films, military type films that hit that community. And, we try to reach our community.
Reflect something that would interest everyone. I mean, that's the cool part, is that nobody has the same experience. It's completely different for each person that goes to the festival because they get to choose what they're attracted to, what they're interested in, and no two people, really, unless they go to everything together, have the same experience.
And then we've taken risks. And like last year we had trans-military and standing ovations, 2 screenings, and people thought before that, they thought, ooh, this is going to be risky for Annapolis to show trans-military. Or Who Killed Lieutenant Van Dorn, the one about the whistleblower, so in a military town, in a Navy town. But we felt the films spoke for themselves. They brought up interesting and important aspects, and that it was a conversation that had to be had. Why shouldn't we do it? We shouldn't run from that.
Why do you want to hide something like that? I mean, you said let's talk about it. Nothing gets solved that way at all.
Well, that's what we've tried to do, is not only curate films, but curate conversations. So we're really mindful also of who conducts the conversations and the Q&As, because we want it to be a place where we can politely and civically agree to disagree, but also sort of still impose perspectives on people. Right. No, we're doing it better than Washington. But, it's a place where people can find themselves maybe sometimes slightly uncomfortable, but it pushes them and they rethink things. And that's how we grow, and that's how we strengthen the fabric of the community that is so diverse. I mean, instead of dividing everybody, we really just want to bring everyone together.
I think that's a lesson that we could learn globally, and that you and I may be totally at polar opposites for whatever topic it may be. Mm-hmm. But I owe it to you to listen to your argument, and you owe it to me to listen to my argument.
Right.
You may not convince me, I may not convince you. We may not be any further apart or close when we're done, but we've given each other the opportunity to listen to it. And that's
is an excuse to do that. A film is a really wonderful reason for people to have those conversations and not get mad at each other.
The difference
because they've shared it together.
It's what she's saying. We don't want people to be angry at the end. We want to, even if we disagree, you can chuckle with each other and say, okay, that's your opinion, that's my opinion, but this was
fun.
I hear
they got a party down the road. Let's go get a beer.
Yeah, exactly. That's the world that I think we all want to be a part of.
Depending on when you're listening to this podcast, passes are on sale right now. Individual tickets will go on sale March 1st, again at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. That's where all of the information is. And as the films get settled, and this frustrates me as to what I'm doing, but as I learn into what you guys are doing, it is a totally mass of moving like amoebas.
It is.
Up until pretty much the last minute to get the films, whether they can be here or not.
She just thought she had something locked. Now the guests, somebody booked their travel plans differently than we didn't know. There was an intermediary, and now we have to rethink everything. It's like that times 70.
Yeah. It's the ripples go far and wide as you go from there. And this is not just, okay, we're bringing a film strip in for third period today. We're talking 70 plus films over, and you're going to say 4 days. I'm going to say 3 days because Thursday is sort of like a little snippet of the
opening night.
Thursday's going to be big this year.
Yeah. You spill any beans?
Well, the film that we do have for opening night is called Military Wives, and it's coming off of Toronto, Palm Springs, and we are very excited to have this film. It stars Kristen Scott Thomas, Sharon Horgan. It's directed by Peter Cantaneo, who did The Full Monty. And
It's British.
It's a British film, and it's about a group of women who have been left behind when their husbands go off to Afghanistan, and all ages, all races, and they come to terms with their relationships with each other and with what to do in their lives to get through this period. And so they form a choir, a military wives choir. And that's about all I'm going to tell you about the film. It's really, really good. It's very inspiring, and it's perfect for a Navy town like ours.
If you want to see that, you have a chance at seeing it possibly at Best of the Fest, but opening night is Thursday, and that would be a pass that would get you into that, correct?
Right. And tickets for it, there'll be a limited number of tickets for opening night. But if you get a pass and get in line early, you have a pretty darn good chance of getting in.
And if you want your opening night ticket, early March and get your opening
Do it now, because you do also put in what I call standby lines.
Yes,
if you
yes,
will,
we have rush
when you
lines.
need to.
It's like Southwest, but we don't give numbers. So literally, never think you can't get into a film. Here's how it works. People buy tickets. We hold a block of a block out for pass holders. Pass holders go in, prepaid ticket holders go in. If somebody's not there in 15 minutes, we're going to sell your seat. I mean, that's just the way it is. We have to run our shows on time. So if you're in the rush line, you might be pushed in there in the last 3 minutes before the film, but we might get 20 people in that because people didn't make it to
Our
the
rush
movie.
lines do very well. They actually get into a lot of things, particularly in our larger theaters. They tend to get in. So it's worth
It's a good,
giving
there's
it
a good
shot.
chance. And, our line wranglers and our venue managers are very friendly. And you can just go up to them and say, you really think I'm going to get in? Because they have an idea of how many have been pre-sold. They'll tell you the odds.
Go
and
for
in
plan
that
B
way,
or-
if you really don't think you're going to get in because there's already 40 people in the rush line, then hop over to another venue with your pass. Just get another line.
What other venues are you looking at? I mean, obviously, we've got Maryland Hall. You've got a great partnership with them.
Two theaters at Maryland
Maryland
Hall.
Hall's, yeah, they added that Bowen Theater in the.
So, yep.
And
It's
they
a
get all mad at me
beautiful,
when I call it
beautiful-
the
And for
basement,
opening
but
night, we
the
can
lower
stream
level.
down there too. So,
Oh, nice.
And they'll get the same Q&A. They'll get the same.
Right.
And if we have guests, we're hoping that we will get some guests for that. And we're hoping to have a nice red carpet with lots of our people coming in.
I mean, it's opening
on
night,
opening
so-
night. So we should
Right.
have a big opening night this year.
Right. So you've got Maryland Hall,
Right.
Asbury United Methodist.
Yes.
Right.
Anywhere else?
Annapolis Elementary at Green Street.
That's right. I forgot.
And
you
St.
got-
John's. Key
And
Auditorium.
St. John's.
And St. John's at Key.
Right.
Entirely-
Not every day. Certain days for certain
Right.
ones.
But entirely walkable.
Yes.
entirely walkable.
It's a great thing. And then the parties you guys have an opening night party. You have not a closing night, but a Saturday night bash.
Yes.
typically.
Yes, we do.
which is a blast. We announce our Shorts Challenge winner at the blast.
Oh,
Our
that was so cool. This is going to be the third year for that.
third year for the Shorts Challenge, and we have selected our participants this year, and they're coming in 3 from California and 2 from this area, and they've got great stories behind them, and they've got really interesting pitches, and we're
the
excited
theme-
about that.
The theme changes every year. So last year it was about truth and storytelling. So that winner, which was a film idea called Frida, will premiere this year. The
our
film's being
festival.
made by Laura Tejera.
Right.
And now this year's theme is called
More Perfect Union. Yeah. A More
which
Perfect
is
Union.
what brings us together as opposed to what divides us.
And it's also like stories that might be very difficult stories, but finding ways that these stories can be approached. Like if there's these issues that we're looking at, even if it's a character study or whatever it is, it's how do we get past something? How do we get through something? It's that a
Right.
more perfect
Right.
union.
And the Shorts Challenge, for those that don't know, this happens. It has happened at Maryland Hall. I presume
Maryland
that's where it
Hall.
will be again.
Yes.
But
Saturday
this is sort of
morning.
like Shark Tank meets the Annapolis Film Festival.
Yeah.
It's our American
Yeah.
Idol.
Yeah. Well, it's
Well, they're not performing
Not
their
really.
final
Well,
thing. They're pitching.
pitching.
it's really more like Shark
We
Tank.
just have tough judges. We had some really tough judges last year.
Yeah.
They were, I mean,
Right.
these are people that listen to development pitches all the time, and they just
Exactly.
ask such pointed questions. I don't even know if these
exactly-
are young
listen,
filmmakers.
we have an executive from DreamWorks coming in this year
Yeah.
who's going to be on our jury.
I mean, that's exactly what you need, though. But I mean, these filmmakers are turning around saying, "Hey, I've got an idea, and here's what it is." And they go out, and it's got to be the most intimidating damn thing in the
It
world
is.
to look at this panel of judges plus maybe several hundred people in the audience.
It's a blast for the audience to watch it too, because there are 5 people getting up there, and they have about 5 to 7 minutes to get everything out and
sell their idea.
and defend their idea to the jury. And then afterwards, the audience gets to participate by voting, and they count as 1/3. And then the judges go off to lunch, and they select the 2/3. So that's an exciting piece.
And
too.
what's in it for those filmmakers is that you guys cop in an incredible production package.
Yeah.
It's a sweet deal because we really have the support of the Maryland Film Office, which we're grateful for. Mm-hmm. We want to show that good films can be made in Maryland and that we have the resources right here. Actually, today is a fortuitous day. Today they are testifying at State House about tax credits for film. And if it doesn't pass, there's going to be a lot of people working in this industry out of business today. So there's a big brouhaha and I think a ton of people coming to testify. But we like having film here. It's green, it's clean, it promotes tourism. People love it. So we want to show that we have the resources here. We have the camera rental houses, lighting, camera sound packages, and then we have post-production sound and post-production video that's part of this production package for the short, which is like valued at well over $20,000 of goods and services. So basically a short filmmaker can go crowdfund for, $10,000 and the rest is pretty much covered to make their short, which is huge. Mm-hmm. But even more, what we've seen since we started this is these young filmmakers need some mentoring. So we've been able to shepherd them through and put them with real professionals. And even the pitch process, a lot of them were like, holy cow, I've never been asked questions, but that is how they're going to cut their teeth and learn, because if they can't sell an idea, they're not going to make too many films.
That's like what you learn in college and what's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
But the other thing is a lot of them are either coming out of college, they're getting their MFAs, or they're in the early stages of the industry. I mean, we've had older people too. We're not shutting it off to just, but it's emerging filmmakers can be anybody that is like coming into the world here with this. And some of them are filmmakers who have worked before and are trying to find their way back in to get recognition. And I think one of the things that the Shorts Challenge does is when you have a challenge, that's why we called it the Shorts Challenge, because you're challenging yourself. These filmmakers are challenging themselves. They're challenging these judges to believe them and support them and understand them. They're challenging the audience to make, to have the audience want to see this film and vote for it. So it's a huge challenge, and it's an internal challenge. When you see them get up there and they're left to their own devices and they have to get what's here in their head out from their heart out to and have it work, have it pass over. It is a very tough thing. And the audience feels that tension, and that's what makes it so great. It's like watching a good tense thriller sometimes, because you're in the audience saying, oh my God, are they going to be able to pull this off? Can they do it? And so
did she really just say that?
So we had a small shorts. At the beginning, our audience was pretty small for this because no one knew what it was. Last year, it started to grow, and that's why we have it at Maryland Hall, because we believe that ultimately people want to get up on Saturday morning, get over there at 10 o'clock, and watch these young filmmakers or these emerging filmmakers go for it and try.
And we have a really big commitment here to young filmmakers. That's why we have the student showcase that shows the work of emerging filmmakers. That's high school through graduate school, international, films. And we would love to know that, like, 10 years from now, we showed the early work of somebody who's like a major filmmaker.
You just briefly mentioned the student showcase, and that is on Friday. Typically, is it Friday or
Sunday.
It's free to the public. Mm-hmm. It's Sunday. Usually it's at Annapolis Elementary School.
Yeah, and you have to look for the schedule. We're not exactly sure. Sometimes it's early afternoon. Sometimes
1
it's
or 3.
Yeah,
I'm getting confused, but you have a day, and maybe Thursday
we have
afternoon.
a Friday morning.
Education Day.
That's what it was.
And that's at Maryland Hall on Friday morning.
Right.
And the buses come in with kids from all over the school system, and we have a film that we show that we offer to the kids, because we want to make sure that when we're reaching out to all these aspects of our community, we're not forgetting our school system. We're not forgetting the educational piece and the kids who are just on the verge of being old enough to appreciate this. And so we're finding something for them.
And that's a wonderful thing that you do for the community, is to invite them in to be able to experience that.
Was a couple years ago, we had a film called Miracle Season, and the director came, and he had not shown the film anywhere, and he was so pumped to show it to like that audience of young high school kids, because it was Helen Hunt, and she was the volleyball coach, and the girl had died, and it was one of those sports stories.
Yeah.
And the kids were like boom, 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 stomping and cheering. And again, it was like 700 and some kids. And he's a big bear of a guy. And he grabbed my hand. He had tears in his eyes. He's like all choked up. And he said, "This is why we made the film." But that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It is. I mean,
so if we like films, we can stomp and boom, boom.
you can do whatever you want if you like a film.
Except for when it's playing.
Except you can't throw anything at the screen.
Oh, God.
My greatest memory of all film festival was, and I don't remember the film, but Rob Reiner had called in on Skype.
Yes, that was his the film before LBJ.
Okay.
And I'll tell you when it was. It was in
About his son.
2016.
Yes, it was.
And it was Donald Trump had just sort of like entered that race for presidency.
Right. Oh, my God.
And you had all sorts of issues with the sound going
Right.
in. And
We
Reiner
had
goes,
checked it like 3 times, and then what
That's
happened?
the way it works.
No, we learned our lesson. Somebody taped the cord down, and then 500 people walked
Walked
over an
over
audio
it.
cable, and then there was no sound. So we could hear Rob, and he couldn't hear us. That was what was so funny. So he just went. He
He
went on.
said,
Well,
wait a
on
minute.
his
So
diatribe.
you guys hear me, and I can't hear anything you say. Well, let me tell you about that.
Yeah.
He was like sitting in his bedroom in his house, just ranting. He went on Jesse said, "It was the greatest 20 minutes of my life."
Right.
Oh, it was hysterical.
Rob unhooked.
Right.
It was hysterical. And as we wrap up, I do want to give a nod to your artist, Joe Barson, who
Yes.
has done your poster
Please
again
do.
this year. That man has hit that out of the ballpark 7 out of 8 times.
He's so talented.
And that's my own little dig into Joe because he knows I don't like
And
the
he's
one.
such a lovely human being, too. He's so easy to work with. He's a
But,
dream.
Yeah, this year's thing looks as sort of a throwback to the
Super
I almost
8.
said figure 8, but the Super 8.
Well, as we're focusing forward, we're looking back through the lens of something
the past,
going
focusing forward. And he was explaining to me that the 8s, with the Super 8 reels,
Right. It was 8
signifies
years.
the 8th year of the film festival,
Right.
which he also did with the sailboats and the 5th. And,
Yeah.
and
I know, right?
last year when he,
cool.
he got the Capitol was able to
Right.
use their logos and
Yes.
use that in that. He's just done a really great job with that.
He's the
And he's
the
really
soul
set
of-
your identity.
He's that soul of our graphic identity.
He's our brand keeper. I mean, Joe, I don't know what we do. I mean, Joe's just so
Part of it.
unique. And we always meet and talk about concept with him. And then we're always amazed. He takes it to a place we hadn't envisioned. He's so talented. He's a real original artist.
When you get an artist that does that, and it could be a filmmaker, it could be an artist, it could be a musician that gets that. It's magic.
Yeah,
Well,
it
and
is.
what we love is we do try to involve a lot of artists in the festival. We have live music, and we have Joe, we have Suzanne, who does our print program. She's so quiet, you never know she's there. She's done a 72-page program in like a few weeks, and is so patient. When
Well, she's with Whale Works Design, right?
yeah. And then we have we've had Mo doing some animation for us every year for our bumper. I mean, we try to involve as many local artists as we can, give it a flavor that's uniquely Annapolis.
We're going to have a film about an artist this year too, so we'll be
actually,
announcing
yes.
that. So we'll talk about
And
that
he's
when we
coming,
come.
right?
And the artist is coming, and it's a very unusual story and wonderful. And we hope to get the whole artistic community behind that film.
Good deal. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to come back and visit with you when you get when you guys get your act together
Yeah.
a little bit closer to the thing.
We'll be ready soon.
We have our slate
be re-
announcement
yeah.
before the slate.
But we gave
You
we
get
gave
the
you
inside
our,
scoop, John. We always give it to you
Okay,
first.
I appreciate that. AnnapolisFilmFestival.org is the place to go. You want to make sure you pick up your passes. I do recommend the passes, whether they are the full day pass or the day pass. It is the way to go just because it takes a lot of the hassle out of doing it than an individual ticket. Individual tickets will be on sale March 1st. Again, everything is at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. And I imagine you guys are also looking for volunteers too at some point.
Thank you for mentioning
Yes.
that. We could not do this. First of all, almost everyone's a volunteer. Our board are volunteers. We have incredible team leaders of 11 different teams. They're professionals that are gifting us with their
All
professional
volunteers.
skills and abilities, but they're all volunteers. And then during festival week, we have nearly 300 volunteers involved doing everything from ticket taking to line management to moving stuff. We have a great operations team. Props to those guys. A lot of them are Naval Academy guys that come out and help with ops. There's just so much that goes on that we could not ever do this alone. It's so big now. We need everybody's help. So if you volunteer, you do get some tickets for shifts. So if that's another way to be able to get into see some
Fantastic.
things.
And that information is on AnnapolisFilmFestival.org as well.
Yes, the volunteer form right there.
Lee Anderson and Patti White, thank you very much. I look forward to looking at you in about a month or less and figure out what's coming down for the Annapolis Film Festival. Again, the dates are March 26th to 29th. Put in your paid time off today. Make sure you save those 4 days off. Actually, 2 of them are weekends, but mark that on your calendar in ink. You want to be here at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This has been an update from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And be sure to subscribe to our daily news brief podcast, which is delivered every Monday through Friday to your phone or device at 7 a.m.